getting back towards it. So as we head into Champions Stake between Newbee and LGD for game number 1. First up, Rumble is going to be banned out against Mara, and Karma is going to be the second ban coming out from Newbee, as Ezreal and Irelia have been taken off the table by LGD.
I like the fact that they're targeting out Happy's champion pool, formerly known as TNT, formerly known as Pekko. It's the same guy. But Ezreal is definitely his comfort champion. And the biggest weakness for Newbee in terms of their laning strength is definitely that bottom lane. More and Happy, they just fall down time and time again. And it should be inexcusable that you ever give away a kill when a jungler or a top laner is not involved. But against the likes of Imp and PYL, LGD could certainly look to exploit this.
LGD opt not to go for the typical red side bans of Rek'Sai, Vladimir, and Ryze, so instead forcing a Ryze ban coming out from Newbee as they ban out Vladimir themselves. Rek'Sai still left up on the table, but we'll have to see what Newbee decide to pick up as their first pick. Actually
really surprised that .A or V wouldn't choose to look towards that champion. I think it actually fits very well with Newbee's overall general scheme, but looking for something else, and it is going to be a priority pick into the Trundle. So Trundle's still very strong. Again, 6.13 is our patch. He's able to shred through tanks, can be used as a flex pick in between Moore or the top lane.
And Moore has played it once in Summer Split, played it a couple of times in Spring Split as well. And teams are still flex picking this champion. Still very strong.
Big tanky champion, definitely fits in Moore's wheelhouse of tricks. On the other side, it's going to be the Jhin and Braum priority. So I still like the fact that LGD, you know, with the return of PYL, trying to get him back up to speed, that they're confident picking their support champion early or hiding the rest of their draft. Like, there's no focus on junglers at all yet. Typically, between every other team, RNG versus EDG, it's a fight over the first jungle pick, particularly in Rek'Sai, who's left up.
Let's see what they decide to pick up here. Hecarim's still left up and available as well. Braum is becoming a more popular support to pick up first, and it's no surprise that LG do that. Resurging in the LPL.
Has really good level 1 potential, but I also think kind of in the rise of Jhin, Braum works really well against the likes of Jhin and also in tandem with. So it makes sense that they're prioritizing their strong bot side.
We saw what a Braum can do to people at level 1 yesterday.
Well, when you walk through...
It was not a fun lane, I can say the least.
Questionable level 1 from Team WE.
But for Newbee, they're going to be picking up Hecarim as their jungler of choice, and Sivir really locks him as their AD carry.
So Happy, no longer having his Ezreal available to him. Jin's taken off the board. He falls kind of one tier back down, goes to the Sivir, obviously empowering Swift. My concern is that Hecarim, he kind of has two different options. He can either be a very gank-heavy jungler and try to snowball his really massive item buys through getting lots of kills, or more often than not, he kind of sits and he farms the jungle until he has that onslaught of shadows. So we'll see what direction Swift chooses to go with it. Likewise, if he's going to be a carried Trinity Force Hecarim, or if he's going to be a very tanky Cinderhulk Hecarim.
And there's a very quick lock-in of Gnar coming out from Mara, and a very signature champion of his. As Gragas going to be the jungler of choice for Amy heading into this game.
Makes picking Azir and Victor, who are both kind of the key mid laners, left open, fairly risky right now with Amy threatening on the Gragas. Likewise, it's a bit more of a comfort champion for him.
Yep.
But LGD, again, they still have a very, very strong fighting skirmish team.
You know, this might be one of Marin's signature champions, but he hasn't played it yet in the summer split of the LPL. Played it a couple of times during spring. So I have to see how he does on this champion heading to game 1 against Newbee. He should be up against a Trundle if they are going to lock in this Thresh.
He can do well against Trundle, but he will need attention to the lane, and Swift should know this. Right now, LGD really need to start giving Marn resources to get that guy ahead so he can itemize into the Black Cleaver and start to run away with the lane pressure. If it goes even, Trundle will eventually out-itemize him.
As Newbee do lock in Twisted Fate in the mid lane and Thresh as their support of choice.
So a very global-oriented composition. We talk about this time and time again with Newbee. They're strong when they're working together as 5, and this comp goes all in on that identity and that idea. But they still kind of retain more of the split push change that they've been going towards. Yes, Trundle will do great in a 5v5 scenario as a big disengaged champion or sprinting towards that backline, but it also opens up the 4-1 or the 1-3-1 if Twisted Fate also chooses to itemize into the Lich Bane earlier for tower pressure on side lane. So Newbee still kind of experimenting with a bit of their compositions and how they execute them.
Well, let's see what LGD are going to pick up as their final pick here. It should be a mid laner. Only that we're going to see Gragas in that mid lane anymore, and it is locked in as LeBlanc, the mid laner of choice for Punished.
So Punished moving away from more of the control mage style back to that assassin style. He should be very comfortable across from the Twisted Fate matchup as that's his signature champion. and looking for more kill threat. So right now, Amy has so many options about where he wants to gank in terms of kill pressure. Should see him start at the top side of the map because, again, you really want Marn to get ahead. But more than that is the fact that LPL teams have put a giant target on Marn's back, and he should be expected to be camped.
Like you said though, Frostgren, lots of global pressure coming up from Newbee. Not only 2 teleports, but also the Destiny will be coming out from Dade. LGD side, they're going to be trying to match that global pressure as much as possible. Both Marin and Punish are going to be picking up teleport heading into this game, despite the small nerfs that came into teleport in 6.13.
Dade's Twisted Fate, though. I mean, the woulda, coulda, shoulda Newbee versus LGD, it's still incredibly exciting anytime you get to see a Twisted Fate master take to the Rift.
Let's see what Dade can do against Punish here in the mid lane. He's been performing pretty well lately for LGD. In a few impressive games, even got an MVP performance on his Karma in one of his matches. We'll have to see how they duke out on Summon Swift as we head into game number 1 between Newbee and LGD. We're on to Summoner's Rift here for game number 1 between Newbee and LGD. Is that Frostgren? Was an Infernal Dragon going to be spawning first here on the Rift today?
Oh boy. Means
lots of fighting.
Priority over the bottom side, which again, bad news for Newbee fans. Their bot lane has not been looking too strong in the 2v2, especially when Imp gets his hands on the likes of Jhin.
Let's see what Imp can do with this champion. As we take a look at the Keystone Masteries very quickly, he's going to be picking up Thunderlords as well here today. Something that we've seen a lot more Jins pick up recently. And Strength of the Asia's picker coming out for the Braum as well as a sport. Dade going to land a gold... No, doesn't land the gold card to Punished.
Just threatening with it. So looking and taking a step back from these compositions, LGD, they still retain their ability to kind of skirmish, 5v5. I'm going to say more so on a skirmish just because you have high mobility champions like Gnar and LeBlanc who can kind of bounce around. Gragas as well, getting over these walls. So beneficial for them to fight around the jungle area, use Fog of War to their advantage as well, set up more walls for Gnar to find these big stuns as a lane swap. Yep,
Newbee went into LGD's jungle, put down a couple of wards. They spot out Amy starting on the top side of this map, and they immediately send Sivir and Thresh to that lane. So Newbee want to initiate a lane swap. They do not want to go up against Imp on the lane.
And hopefully if they're able to pull off the PvE portion of the lane swap correctly, and if LGD make the gentleman's agreement to just safely trade side lanes, Newbee should be also in a good position to not sacrifice their control over the Infernal Drake. But we'll see how either team plays it. And again, usually when lane swaps are initiated, it's over an Ocean or a Cloud Drake, with the Infernal higher priority to make sure that people do this perfectly so they don't miss their timing windows to contest for that dragon.
Well, knowing LGD, they certainly have a thing or two to say about conventional lane swaps. Sometimes they don't like it that much.
Concern for Newbee. Oh, hold on.
Good damage. You were saying?
It's hard to say. Okay, so Newbee obviously have great wave clear in their Sivir. Twisted Fate has decent wave clear, but LGD's composition is really good at sieging. You've got great poke and pressure that LeBlanc can put onto towers, you know, using her distortion underneath. You have the Jhin curtain call. Yes, Jhin can't really walk up to a tower and take it as effectively, but opening up his curtain call, forcing teams to back off of towers. And then you have the threat of Gragas on a mid-range mage like Twisted Fate. If Gragas ever approaches, TF has to back up if he doesn't have his flash for fear of the cast kind of sweeping him out from underneath the tower. So if Happy is ever really out of position, LGD can just sweep through their structures.
Well, let's see what LGD can do. But for now, we're going to see both the lanes, so to speak, crash towards their respective outer turrets and try and take this one down. So we're taking a look at these Keystone Masteries for quite some time for Oscar. I'm trying to see if there's something we're missing.
We're really into it. Keystone Masteries.
Because normally, when the observers from China are looking at something, it means that there's something very important to take note. I can't quite see anything just yet. But those towers are eventually going to fall down. Newbee will be able to take down the top lane out of turrets. LGD will be able to do the same in the bottom lane, as Dade still taking a lot of damage from Punish in this mid lane.
Again, Dade not necessarily known for his strength in laning. He also doesn't have the greatest matchup going into this, as the first tower has fallen. V did get a decent bounce back off of it. And it looks like LGD are actually slightly behind, so opening up space for Newbee to make a first play, and it looks like it's going to be on this mid lane. Gold card doesn't connect.
Swift was actually trying to look to find that gank, but when that gold card does not connect, he immediately just paces back towards the Raptor camp. Swift is actually trying to take away... Not Swift, sorry. Imp is trying to take away the Raptor camp as well on the opposite side of the map. So LGD are going to finally be able to take down this turret. Marin takes a couple of turret shots for it.
Newbee definitely with this exchange ahead in the lane swap so far. The fact that V was able to get the solo experience, whereas Marn had to share it, but LGD trying to make an adaptation.
Dade has to flash away, but they've got 3-on-2 in this mid lane. As Punish now getting jumped on, that forces a teleport coming out from the top lane. Marin is going to try and get down here, but Punish is trying to get the change down to escape. But here comes Happy Fix up first blood. Dark Passage comes down to try and force Amy to flash, which he does, and Newbee coming on top with that counter gank.
But that play was effectively set up for the fact that LGD were so slow on taking the initial tower rotation that Imp and PYL were in base, whereas Newbee's bot lane able to respond and pick up that first blood there. So that's kind of the difference of these 4 to 10 second timing windows of not setting up your creep wave appropriately for the first push.
So many summon spells being burnt, especially on LGD's side of the table. Flash is being burnt by both the mid laner and jungler here. Let's see how that affects LGD moving on later into this game. And we said already, LGD picked pretty well to try and win their lanes. Newbee winning this early is not good news for them.
Newbee have different options about how they play around their lane phase, though. So again, we have the capability that they could open up a 1-3-1, especially because they have the Sivir, they have the TF, and if Trundle gets ahead, the ability to split push and pressure there. Likewise, they could also just funnel all into one lane, look for a flank with Hecarim, and try to team fight off of that. I feel like LGD, it's a bit more one-dimensional. Yes, they can kick Punished out into a side lane, but with Marn, I'm not going to say too far behind, because he actually did a great job on kind of minimizing his CS difference right now, although Trundle's about to get a free wave, so he's only about a wave behind. But he's not getting the attention that he needs to really start getting ahead in his itemization if he goes that Black Cloud Cleaver route.
Let's see what he does eventually pick up. He does have the long sword already picked up, so should be a Black Cleaver first. Dade actually went back to base and picked up a Negatron cloak, so lots of respect coming out towards Punish. So now we're actually going to see standard lanes come out from both LGD and Newbee.
And this is the importance of the Infernal Drake, the fact that LGD are not sending their bottom lane up there. Instead, they're letting Marn overextend and hoping for the safety of his hop and holding the wave to not put himself in danger.
Let's see if that affects him, because like we said earlier, teams are very well known for trying to camp Marn out throughout the entirety of the laning phase. So far, no attention has been paid to the top side of the map from Swift. All of it towards the mid lane here is Punish, using his combo just to clear up minions, not going for any more poke on towards Dade.
Unfortunately, between Trundle and Hecarim, you don't necessarily have that much hard CC, if any. You've got, you know, a pillar and your knockback or your displacement on Hecarim's charge. But it'd be very hard to lock down a slippery orange squirrel.
But things are fairly quiet between these two teams. Dade finds a pink ward on the right side brush of his mid lane.
Things are quiet until Dade has his Destiny, which should be noted that he is level 6 now. Mm-hmm. So the question is, where is this going to be used? Now, Marn is the most overextended because he doesn't have his tower. But naturally, you would like to make a play bot lane so you can rotate that into the Infernal Drake. I think it's really about now watching the backing between Swift, who also has Onslaught of Shadows, and Swift should dictate where this Destiny will go by where he moves on the map.
For now, Swift is heading up to the top side. He's actually might be looking towards picking up the blue buff, though, for Dade, which will be spawning in a second. They do have a ward up in the top side of the map, which will be expiring, so they won't have vision of that anytime soon.
Yeah, so like you said, the fact that it's timing well with the blue coming up, Marn should be aware of this. Obviously, blue timer is fairly common. See if he's going to be cautious and not look to trade. Yep, no. In fact, he's actually walking into Fog of War and placing down a ward. So good job for Marn to realize that he was open for a play to be made on him.
Punish at the same time will be able to pick up his blue buff in the mid lane. So we can expect him to continue his harass towards Dade.
Information advantage towards LGD right now, the fact that Swift is clearing out a ward.
But not too much happening on Summoner's Rift so far. Only first blood going on over towards Newbee earlier. They have 1,000 gold. Dade was spotted going to Fog of War here, but he's going to try and go up to the top lane towards Myron, who immediately flashes away. But there's the onslaught of Saros into a stun. Myron's going to get taken down here first. Oh no, the second kill of the game goes over towards Swift.
Fairly nicely played by Newbee right there. The fact that Dade was also caught out by a ward and then immediately teleports so he doesn't even miss the wave. So nothing traded for just picking up a very clean kill.
Interesting, though, because they did have vision over Dane moving towards the top side of the map there.
It was just the lack of respect for Hecarim's speed. Again, if it wasn't a Hecarim jungle, Marn would have been fine. But for how quickly Swift could get behind him, as Swift's actually caught.
He has to be a little bit careful here. Body Slams is going to miss coming out from Amy. Dade is going to be able to lock down the Gragas, but teleports are coming in from the Gnar as well. There's the knockback in towards the turret there. Takes a turret shot for that. Marn jumping into Punish, finds that kill, returns one for LGD.
And unfortunately, Dade offering very little assistance to help his Hecarim get out, but great collapse from LGD. And in the end, the overextended play does go 1-for-1.
They do burn a teleport coming out from Marin, though, which means Veed still has his to work with.
But it's also very different about where the power was allocated. So the fact that Swift was the primary benefactor of picking up the kill, Dade now sitting on 2 assists, whereas on the other side, Punished actually got the kill gold. So slight lead for the LeBlanc, and we'll see if Punish is able to abuse this in a stronger matchup.
For now, he does have a CS advantage here in the mid lane. He's actually trying to get some more chip damage down towards Dade, who trades back quite nicely. There's a curtain call actually coming in from Imp, trying to find Dade. Hits the final, and the fourth shock not going to connect. That was an interesting play, to say the least.
Well, they had time and space to do this, simply because the bot tower has already been taken. So shove the wave forward, disappear into Fog of War, and apply invisible pressure on Dade, if not hit all of the 4 bullets and kill him.
Deadly Flourish, even waiting to try and lock down Dade, doesn't connect. Still a very small lead for Newbee at the start of this game, about 1,000 gold ahead of LGD.
Biding their time, though. They do have their TP. Destiny will be back up and available when Dade's back into the lane, so they could look to make another cross-map play. This time I would suspect it'd actually be on the bottom side, because I think Newbee are ready to pull the trigger on this dragon. Well,
Newbee are pushing out the bottom lane quite heavily. And there's a big wave that they probably want to try and crash on towards the turret and pressure LGD off of it, which so far they've done a good job of doing so.
And this is just using the pressure point of the wave, the fact that LGD have to farm it because they don't want to give this up, to create space for them to move into the river, lay down and secure vision over this Infernal, and try to set up a play. Dade in trouble.
Over's extending a little bit there, but Swift has got his back there, trying to charge in towards the mid lane. Punish has to blow his flash rather early, so someone to spell down.
Because he used Distortion to trade naturally, and with Punished lower health, and with no flash, Newbee pulled the trigger on Dragon.
Especially with V now down on the bottom side of the map, and the first one to get that out of the 2 top laners. Puts a pillar down and going to force Punish to use his W to get away. He's very low on mana. This Infernal Dragon is going to fall to Newbee.
Very nicely played, although LGD now looking for the fight.
Dade does get picked off at the start of the fight. The ultimate does come out from PYL, forces a flash away from V, who gets exhausted, gets the concussive blows as well. Imp tries to flash forward to get a few more auto attacks. Subjugate goes down on towards the Brom. There's no tower here for Newbee, so they're going to have to try and juke this one now. V puts the pillar down, but gets hit by that curtain call. Has to be a little bit careful. The final shot from Imp will take him down. So LGD do get 2 picks for it, but lose the Infernal Dragon.
More kill gold onto Punished, however, so the LeBlanc getting a bit stronger. Unfortunately, Fortunately, LGD also got their kill allocated onto the Jhin. So exactly where they need it, it doesn't translate into any sort of objective. I wanted to compliment Newbee on their control of creep waves for setting up objectives. This is actually something that we credited old LGD at being very good at, amassing massive pressure points on the map through creep waves, and then using that pressure to move into areas and control vision. That's pretty much entirely how Newbee took control of that dragon.
Dade's Destiny is back up and available, so we can see some more cross-map play coming out from him. Teleport from V is still up and available as well.
Like you said, taking that effort to walk down. With the bottom tower down and now Dragon not available, LGD's really only playmaking is either through the mid lane or the top lane right now. Which is why we see it being rotated here. There's no reason for him to be bottom.
Yep. Let's see what they do. Like you said, LGD are going to put the AD carry in the mid lane. The safer of the 3 lanes at the moment.
The only problem is now Punish is kind of looking at where he needs to be. We saw him farming a jungle camp. He's now actually moving bottom. Obviously a bit more safety with the double distortion potential on an elongated lane. But it's just the situation of Punished and Imp can't be in the same lane because you don't want to separate farm between your 2 carries. And Newbee are just holding their waves, playing safely back. They already got what they wanted. They're going to continue to scale up, make the use of their semi-global comp, and try to catch LGD out.
They certainly are. Let's see how they play this one out. You're going to have Brom in the mid lane here. PYL adding a little bit more protection for him. So we can take a look at the items that have been picked up really quickly here. Dade not opting to go for an Abyssal Scepter with that Negatron Cloak, instead going for a delayed Rod of Ages on Twisted Fate. Morello Nomicon has been picked up by Punished and now has his own Negatron Cloak.
We're actually matching 80 carries. Dade does this all the time. He did this on Azir into Icon Zed, and yes, he had Exhaust, but Zed still had plenty of kill pressure. Punish still has plenty of kill pressure on Dade here. They're trying to get a pick with Swift. Swift on the bottom side of the map, or not a pick, but a 1v2 scenario. But this is still, I feel kind of arrogant. Like, Dade has to play this pretty perfectly.
Well, let's see how he goes, because he is going to face check Punish here. There's the combo coming out from LeBlanc, locks him down, immediately uses the Mimic to jump away. Not Distortion, sorry. So Dade does get caught out, but doesn't get chunked out too much for that.
Creep wave pushing in.
Lots of health and magic resistance on this Twisted Fate as well. There's another combo coming out from Punish. Tickles Dade a little bit.
Swift has been caught out by Amy. Not caught out, but seen. Pings going down, so Swift again still trying to make a play around Dade. I feel like they should actually be using the Destiny and Hecarim speed to make a play somewhere else on the map rather than playing around their TP advantage.
For now, they're all three lanes just very content with farming at the moment. Actually, Marin, he's caught up in terms of CS and even overtaken V at the moment, 101 to 94.
Yeah, Marin and, Nara and Trundle have been left to their own devices in the top lane, save for that early on gank, but it didn't come of anything in terms of other pressure on the map. Marn didn't expend his teleport to immediately get back to lane. Both top laners just walked to the Dragon Pit.
Dade's been spotted out by the squad, so they know he's looking towards the top side of the map. Gragas is up there as well, though, as V now going to get jumped on by the Gragas. The stun card does come out from Dade, but Swift's up here too. A teleport will come in from Punish to try and get to the top lane, but Amy falls down first up, goes for a combo towards V, but it's not enough to take him down. Stun card comes out, LeBlanc taking lots of damage. Marin turns into Mega Gnar, locks down Dade. There goes the Hecarim, Moore finds that kill. This is disastrous for LGD as Marin's now the next target. The hook comes out, V is just dancing and throws out a pillar. Dade picks up the final kill.
And Newbee are just ripping LGD around this map right now. We talked about how it was a little bit questionable that they continued to try to gank into Dade's lane as opposed to using the Destiny and that global presence to gank someone else's lane. They quickly turn it around, though, ganking up towards the top side. The biggest issue here is how late Amy is on his teleport. Not Amy, Punished, excuse me. Amy is pretty much deleted by the time that Punish finally shows up. He does great damage, but the numbers disadvantage is already there.
And this is another team fight, or another pick up in the top lane coming out from Newbee, whereby they saw Dade waiting to teleport. They just don't get there in time.
And that's the kicker, the fact that they knew that Dade was going.
They knew this was happening. They could see the future.
And Amy was still late to pull the trigger. Why? Amy, Punished. I can't do it. I'm confusing the jungler and the mid laner.
He's a mid laner right
Punished.
now.
Unlimited potential. Amy, unlimited potential.
Well, he's going to punish you for that one for us, Kieran. You can take a look at the damage dealt.
I'm already being punished.
You can take a look at the damage dealt during that team fight. Swift topping the charts there. And like you said, although Punish did get to the top lane rather late, still put the damage down, but it wasn't that much.
He's just going to be LeBlanc to me. He has no name. He is a faceless.
LeBlanc got to the top lane pretty
the
late,
mid-laner
still
LGD
did the most damage for LGD.
Need, but not the one they deserve.
As you can see, mid laner for LGD is actually going to be picking up an Abyssal Scepter as his next item. Rod of Ages has finally been complete for Dade as well. Cinderhawk being picked up by Swift, as well as Amy. Was that a Runic Akros? That's a Runic Akros. Have to double check. We have seen a Blood Razor being picked up on a Rek'Sai recently.
I don't even know how you can tell that's blue. I must be colorblind.
I'll tell you what, Frosco, I'm leaning very close to the screen to see that one.
It's definitely not red. As we're setting up for this Mountain Dragon.
It has spawned.
Should be noted that Swift itemizing towards that Phage, so looking for the Trinity Force. Probably.
We saw a couple of Hecarims pick up Triforce first before any jungle item yesterday. Swift opting to go for the Cinderhawk first up, complete that item before going into any Triforce shenanigans.
It just now becomes an issue of, will his team be punished for not having an earlier tank? But if they continue to play the team fights, they've got great pick potential. So it hasn't really come to a full 5v5. It's always been at a numbers disadvantage.
Who knows as well, we have seen a couple of Hecarons just pick up that phage and leave it there for the extra attack speed and movement speed.
Then itemize straight into defensive stats.
Gives you some health too, which is great. Ravenous Hydra being completed by V, so he's a Ravenous Hydra Trundle. Not a Titanic Hydra Tunnel like Marin is.
Well, he's going to go and have to use that upstairs and take care of the creep wave that Marin has built while he walks down to the dragon. Again, it is a Mountain Drake, so...
And speaking of Marin, he's gone for a Frozen Mallet, not for a Black Cleaver.
So the chase potential.
So lots of slows coming out from his auto attacks in both Mini and Mega Gnar.
I like to call it the walk-down build. And he doesn't necessarily need to be a damage threat for his team, simply because he has so much damage between LeBlanc as Jhin, as well as Amy going the Runic Echoes route on this Gragas. I would say it's huge deeps, but we'll give it to him.
And there's all that slow coming out there, forces V back. He's not having the most fantastic time here. We'll be able to farm up and heal quite nicely from Ravenous Hydra.
He's fine right now. Both top laners are actually fine.
They both have their teleports up and available. Probably going to be used for the Mountain Dragon fight that would eventually take place between the two teams.
The teams are actually posturing to gank Marn again. The only issue is that Dade is actually on the bottom side of the map, so if they pulled the trigger on it, it would have been just Hecarim and Moore. You can see Moore now returning to the mid lane.
Well, Amy is on the top side of the map. We still have the 80 carries and supports in the mid lane for Newbee and LGD, just trying to push back and forth between one another. Newbee still do have a 2,000 gold lead ahead of LGD.
Could be quickly reversed, though. Not going to call this one way or the other.
There's a pillar coming down from V. There's the Destiny going up to the top side of the map. Marin immediately shoves him backwards, but the stun card's already gone down. Does get the double stun. Will have his flash to try and jump away. The hop comes out first. V going to try and pursue here. Does have his flash available. Gets the bite down as well. Whacks him with the club. Still looking for the kill though. His pillar should be up shortly, but Marin is going to be able to get away from the gank.
Third time's the charm. Finally happens. That said, Marin continues seeming to be so extended on the map and opening himself up to those situations, and no response.
Teleports are going to be coming in towards the bottom side of the map here. Here comes Dade trying to close the distance. The Dragon has already been started by LGD. They have some good wards. They got a flank coming in as well. This is from Marin, who's gone back to the base and picked up a bit of health here, but he doesn't have his Mega Gnar, just Mini at the moment. Curtical is going to come out. Teleport from V into the backlines. Marin, really low, gets hooks up, gets taken down. Swift finds the kill. PYL in a little bit of trouble as Dade takes the 4th shot of the Curtical. The Hecarim goes in, gets a good ultimate off. PYL is going to be locked down by Dade. He's still looking for more. Charges backwards on towards Party. Gets a massive combo on the LeBlanc, chucks out so many members of Newbee as a double kill falls for Amy. Imp picks up a kill onto Dade, and Happy's in trouble. He's trying to kite, will not be able to get it. Amy gets the triple kill. A huge turnaround play from Punished.
Massive play from Punished. That damage was disgusting. Again, we talked about this LeBlanc getting those early kills, starting to stack up and starting to do massive, massive damage. Newbee just funneled into a choke point and ate all of that AoE on the distortion. And this is the key difference between when LGD finds success and when they find failure. And it's their wildcard players of Punish and Amy stepping up and showing up.
And here's the start of the fight. Marin got picked off immediately.
Yeah, great setup from Imp. The fact that he has enough safety to open up the curtain call, lay down the initial damage. It starts to turn around there, particularly on the back of Swift, you know, finding a really good engagement, chunking out Punish, but there's the devastation. It goes into the LeBlanc, into the Gragas damage, and just destroys Newbee in that single ramp.
It certainly did. Amy also gets the one-on-one there. There was some kiting coming out from Happy. Wasn't able to kite efficiently, though. Good use of the vision and the brush from Amy to try and get that last one attack. And the Mountain Dragon does fall to LGD as well, so they're still down 1,000 gold here, but do have a dragon apiece now.
They've pretty much just sacked Marn. So as I was saying before, is there's zero response to assist Marn. No one is coming to save him. They will continuously have him overextend. He's going to continuously get ganked, manage to save his life that time around, and then make it back down to the fight with the TP. But otherwise, immediately deleted at the beginning of all of these fights. He's not the game changer here. It's all about Punished and Amy kind of setting the pace for victory for LGD, which is bizarre to say when Imp and Marn on the team.
Amy has been playing pretty well so far. We have to see how he does later on in this game. Got lots of damage down in that team fight too. Stuck around for some time.
He's team fighting better. His jungle pathing is still pretty suspect.
It's 3-1 and 3. As Kurtzgall's going to be opened up in the mid lane. Tags Moore with 2 shots there. Thunderlords even comes down. Happy blocks the third. That's lots of damage on towards Moore. The cast will miss coming up from Gragas, but that was really close. Moore barely escaping that.
Unfortunately for LGD, they don't take down Happy, so any momentum that play had created immediately fizzles out because Sivir just clears the way, so it's not like they can transition that into sieging mid. But that is the power of their siege composition if they hit the correct target. So if they hit the Sivir there, the Twisted Fate, completely different story.
Let's see how it pans out throughout the rest of the game.
Should be noted that LGD are being very aggressive without having 2 key ultimates. They don't have the Curtain Call and they don't have the Cast, which is why Newbee are so keen to fight this right now.
That was very close coming out from Moore as well. Looked for the Death Sentence on towards PYL, almost connected. Take a look at the items very quickly. Imp, he's picked up his Duskblade of Drakthar and has the almost Ghostblade as well. So
penetration build. Also the fact of how the Duskblade is working with the Q from Jhin. Amy's now caught.
Gonna take a lot of damage from VQ.
He'll be okay. Nope, never mind.
It's a teleport coming in though. That's on top of TYL, who's been caught out by a hook from V. I mean, Moore as he gets played backwards. The box comes down but doesn't connect. Everyone swifts in the back lines. There's Punish trying to go in deep to the back lines. So he gets locked down. Gonna get taken down. No, he doesn't. Takes the distortion out. Mara goes into Mega Duck. Does get hooked up though, looking for the ultimate. Only gets stunned now. He takes down 1 kill towards Happy, but does eventually fall down. And still 1-for-1 traders. Punish somehow escaped that team fight.
Big thing though is that LGD actually have priority position onto the mid-tier tower, and with Punish pulling the TP, someone's getting dove.
He wants more here. He tries to go for the dive, lands the chains, gets it. Dade's trying to juke out the Curtain Call here. Will get hit by 2 and 3 shots coming out. Still stays alive. Amy going in deep. There's the cast, knocking it backwards, but out of the deadly flourish. Punish goes back in, finds the kill. He is on fire this game.
Frankly, just very greedy from Dade to think that he could hold that tower, especially as Moore abandoned him. Good response from Punish to pull the TP out, force Thresh off the tower, and then great follow-up from Amy with the cask. But again, Amy and Punished. It's this setup for Marn and Imp. They're doing the massive damage, but it's the 2 unlimited potential members on this roster that are knocking down the dominoes. That was cute.
V chomps the blue buff away from Punish, who tries to steal it. Blue buff secured. So do get a chance to check on the items. The Trinity Force was actually completed by Hecarim, as well as an Iceborne Gauntlet coming up from V first. So not much health on this Trundle at the moment. Not much magic resistance either.
But good damage on the tower.
Newbee are trying to push in towards this mid lane. Deadly Flourish comes out, doesn't connect with anyone. Happy takes a tower shot.
Yeah, thankfully they're managed to clear the wave out in front of them, although the tower now sitting at about 20% health.
LGD definitely looking stronger as we approach the mid game here. They looked fairly weak during the laning phase, which was surprising. Now mid-game looking a lot better.
Well, they didn't necessarily get a laning phase for the initial portion of it. The lane swap being initiated and definitely skewed things. And then likewise, you know, Newbee never really put themselves in to lane fairly. Marn's 1v1 was never a 1v1. It was more of a 1v3. And Happy and Moore actually froze the wave very deep, forcing Imp to make an early rotation into mid lane. So I think Newbee actually played the early game very well to avoid the natural strength of LGD's laners.
So there was that gold graph we just saw. Punish actually turning around that gold graph completely for LGD. It's just completely dropped, and it's now 2,000 gold in LGD's favor. Infernal Dragon number 2 has spawned here, and Elemental Dragon number 3 of the game.
Should be important to note that Newbee have the first Infernal, so obviously the stacking 16% would be a pretty nice bonus going through this mid-game to get them closer to that 5v5 stage that they like to be at.
This Punish is actually looking for V here. Destiny is popped. They spot him out. He's still trying to go a little bit aggressive. Jukes back and forth, but there's the Destiny on top of Imp. He's being caught down, gets locked down. Happy finds the kill. Maro's trying to teleport in. V's here too as well. They've already taken down the mid lane outer turret. They're trying to push in for more. But they get a pick on towards Imp.
The damage has been done. Like you said, the pick went down, and immediately Newbee are collapsing onto this dragon. LGD still have... nope, they're actually just going to go ahead and concede this. I was going to say Marn was in Meganar. If they acted right then, could try to force them off, but Punish says, I want the wave bottom, and Marn is going back top.
And they do get the second Infernal Dragon for Newbee. Let's see if they can use that later on in the game. Stacking up quite nicely now. The third dragon, the fourth dragon of the game will be a Cloud Dragon. So it shouldn't be as heavily fought over as the last 3.
No, but it means we're going to continue to see these lane picks being set up.
Punish looking for a pick on towards V, gets lots of damage down, pops the subjugate immediately to stay alive.
And he's like, I'm done with this. I'm going home. You can have the creeps. So now the question becomes, where do these teams play and what do they want on the map? Obviously, everyone's focus is going to be moving towards that Baron pit. That's a given. But it's going to be about these inner turrets, the mid and the top lane for both teams. LGD specifically want the outer top tower. Okay. But we should start to see these teams move into that top side river and their blue and red side jungles respectively, laying down their deep vision and knowing these teams skirmishing over it.
Well, we're looking at Marin up in the top side of the map. Second time he's got red this game, took it away from his own jungle. He's picked up a black cleaver to go on with that frozen mallet. So more armor penetration coming out from him. Now going for more defensive items.
This is the interesting adaptation to it, though. I want to quickly point down to the bottom lane. Again, they're sending Dade down here because he doesn't have the TP. Likewise, Trundle's TP is down, so obviously with the Destiny, he's able to respond. Punish's teleport is just about to come up, but again, the lane assignments. LGD could actually look to abuse this.
Let's see if they do. They're clearing out some vision from Baron. They do have the Scuttle Crab over on the side of Newbee, so we'll have permanent vision there for some time.
Dade's moving. Newbee, you're looking for a pick.
He is spotted out by a ward that was placed down by LGD in the mid lane. Punish is actually working on his blue buff, so they do have some time, but I don't know this is happening.
I mean, no one can immediately rush to the Baron with Punished on blue buff. There's no significant lead or mountain dragons to buffer that.
And the goal is almost dead even between Newbee and LGD at the moment. 50,000 gold to both these two teams.
They want to pick on mid.
Once again, it's very quiet between them.
It's not about to be. Imp has to be really careful, especially because he doesn't have his flash. That was actually a really scary scenario, and I'm really surprised that Newbee actually didn't immediately go for that. Imp coming forward and clearing the wave. Dade, you saw him moving in Fog of War, just getting ready to teleport on the Summoner-less Jhin.
Splash and Heal will be back up shortly, but still lots of time for Newbee to try and capitalize on it being down. Punish is still split pushing down the bottom side of the map. Does have a teleport, so can join the team if he needs to.
And again, the fear that if the play isn't played perfectly, that Punished has great kill threat on Dade's Twisted Fate. Does have Zhonya's Hourglass now, so can dodge a bit of that damage in stasis, but it's now a question of who's going to look across in that LeBlanc every time he goes down there.
That's what he can do. Like we said earlier, very quiet between these two teams still. If there's any point in time, Dade can just pull the trigger, but he's going to be able to show himself bottom lane sometime soon, which will give LG a little bit of breathing room.
They're about to be stuck between a rock and a hard place.
More taking a lot of damage from Punish there. Besides, he's not about that life anymore. V is still split pushing up in the top side of the map with Marin, trying to hold the wave against its own tower.
Bad news for LGD is that Marin has actually triggered into Meganar form, so they're actually just using this to bully and lay down triangle vision. Although
Marin's actually found more, though. They get a pick on towards him inside of his own jungle. Now Swift in a lot of trouble. There comes the Curtical. They find him as well. Happy has to be a bit careful. He's going to be able to block out one of the Curtical bullets, but that's two quick picks for LGD.
And it's just sloppy play from Newbee. Again, Marin had just walked out of Meganar form, so they can't look for the big 5v5 because they're missing a big key ultimate. But the fact that Moore and Swift are just out of position gives LGD a free Baron.
No contest coming out from Newbee's lineup there. They're not
Getting
even
zoned
looking
off
towards
by
getting
Gnar.
there. Marin is looking to try and actually engage on this one, it looks like. He's going to be able to pop into Mega Gnar shortly. Baron does fall to LGD just 32 minutes into this game off of two very quick picks.
And the pick shouldn't... It'd be like one thing if LGD had set it up. You know, they've got the Mega Gnar prep. They're looking for the 5v5. They're setting a trap. They just casually wandered across them.
Hello.
That is just unfortunate. Big swing in power on a massive mistake.
Certainly is. 2,000 gold lead for, 3,000 gold lead for LGD as well. They're going to be able to increase that even further as this Baron buff ticks away and gives them small natural advantages, like being able to take down this top lane out of turret with relative ease.
But their composition is very good at sieging. We talked about this earlier when they're consolidating all their resources as 5 into one lane. Again, opening up the curtain call, using LeBlanc to poke and force people away from turrets. Want to look for that inner mid.
Let's see what they can do with the Baron buff. For now, they're being fairly passive. Only taking down a single outer lane turret with the Baron buff.
They're not staggering their backs. Well, the backs are technically staggered, but they're not backing together. Like, Jhin now wants the red buff, and because he's taking red buff, Gragas is using that as a back timer, but Punish was in top lane, now going bottom. Newbee are again manipulating waves underneath them to try to make them to respond as opposed to be proactive with their Baron.
And the Baron buff is halfway done as well. LGD need to make use of it somehow, other than just the top lane outer turret. They do have a 4,000 gold lead on top of that, so spending all the gold they possibly can to creep any advantage possible.
And now, Imp made his back. We're slowly walking back down mid lane.
Dragon's up. It's a Cloud Dragon.
One day.
One day
all
they'll
be
fight
together.
again. Maybe it's when Dante almost gets chunked out by Punish here. Doesn't hit the full combo.
No, but we're finally setting up for it. Okay, so Punish has created this nice little strength on the bottom side.
Hello.
That's a bit overzealous. A little bit overeager. But they were moving in. They were placing their triangle vision between Punish and mid because they wanted to siege on the mid lane tower. That fizzled out immediately because the ultimate was a bit over the top. It's cool. We got the Cloud Dragon.
I think it was an air ball coming up from him in that second shot. A little bit confusing, but the Cloud Dragon does fall to LGD, which means Elder Dragon's going to be the next one to spawn.
And Baron just about to fall off here.
Punish going to make the most out of it and try and get as much damage down towards the bottom lane inner turret. And this should fall with the help of PYL and Amy moving down towards this side of the map.
Punish is doing so much work for LGD right now.
Yep.
He's got the team on his back right now.
He's been playing well. Has been recently, in fact, for LGD. Hello, what are you two doing?
They're the last stand. They're the guard. They know what they want. It's pretty obvious.
This Baron buff still going to be able to push on towards this turret. Should be ticking off very shortly, like you mentioned.
They can do it.
They're looking to try and get as much damage on towards this mid lane in the turret now. Braum putting up the shield, trying to tank up whatever he possibly can. Happy trying to wave clear. Myron actually putting in some work towards V on the top side of the map. He has to be a little bit careful here, because Myron's already working on trying to take as much damage onto his tower as possible. Trundle going to get chunked out there by the Hyper. LGD do take the mid lane in the turret now, rotating towards the top side of the map.
The extra 30 seconds on Baron buff doing really nice work for LGD as the curtain call opens again, trying to force them off this tower. They've got a big wave built up. They want to go 3 for 3 on taking these inners.
And they get that in the turret as well, so LGD able to take down all of the turrets in the lane, so to speak. Just open up the map quite nicely for them, and also pick themselves up a good 8,000 gold lead, or 7,000 gold lead off the back of that.
They've got 3 inners. They got the Cloud Dragon.
Woo.
Great spot for LGD be in.
Yeah, perfect spot to just pick up that Cloud
A little
Dragon.
bit fumbled initially, but they came through. Punish is like, no, I see the plan. Full steam ahead.
He does good. So to make the most of that Baron buff, it has now expired, so we'll have to see what LG decides to do next, or if Newbee are going to try and make a play of their own.
Newbee are running out of a lot of options. Should be pointed out, though, that Swift has completed some form of tankiness. So he's got his Trinity and a lot more safety diving that back line.
Speaking of tankiness, Marin's picked up 2 major tank items as well.
Well, my issue with Swift's tankiness is that he doesn't have MR.
Mm-hmm. Swift?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have a lot of MR. He doesn't have a Spirit Visage is the big thing.
Okay.
And he's against the likes of Gragas and LeBlanc, who are very fed.
See, now you've passed it on to me. You were saying Swift, and I was looking over at Amy.
Oh,
and
I was
confused
no,
you
I
by
looked
doing
at you.
that.
I was like, why is he looking at me? He doesn't have any MR.
That's my bad. Yep. Yeah,
Okay, thanks, play-by-play caster. Yeah,
Yep.
Swift, if he goes in, he'll just die. You looked so determined when
I've
you
been
looked into
looking
my
at
eyes.
Amy as punished this entire game.
Thank you, Fish. No, Hecarim
You're
goes to the
welcome.
back line. He'll immediately explode. So they don't actually have great frontline initiation. Trundle does have his MR, but again, he has to run up into them. Is now LGD full siege.
Third shot not going to connect. That was a nice use of the ultimate coming from Gragas and knocked them back towards Imp's ultimate. Punish has been jumping in, chunking people out during these sieges.
Again, that's how the composition works. You poke them off with LeBlanc with the double distortion. You open up the curtain call, but here
here's
comes
the
fight.
Dade are looking for it. Punish going to take a lot of damage. Imp's going to be able to take down Swift as soon as he goes in. Happy, though, returns a kill on towards Marin. He's now progressing towards the backside of this map. Punish goes in, but Dade takes him down. Newbee are going to be able to turn around this team fight as the hook comes out on towards Amy. Dade still doing some work. Amy tries to go over the back, but Guardian Angel will have to be popped here, and he will go down shortly after.
So the team fight was split up. Newbee managed to make a miracle comeback, but guess what? They're the comeback kings of team fighting. They're from a gold deficit. Somehow the 5v5 works for them. And it's really on Swift. So we talked about how Swift, when he goes into this backline, he's actually just going to explode. He's taken down quite early, but it's enough pressure and time that he forces Imp and Punish to not lay down a lot of their damage. Punish then goes over the wall. Dade with a great, I'm not going to say outplay, but great reactionary play here. And from here, Imp has already been completely zoned out, so there's no more follow-up from the 80 sustained damage from LGD. So great job.
And this might be a good time for Newbee to just set up and try and take down this Baron, which spawns right now, actually, more. And Happy going to try to work on this one as V, Swift, and Dade slowly collapse on towards this pit. LGD, they're not in a position to try and stop this one. Potentially, PYL could try and do something, but it's just support up against the smite coming out from Swift. This will go down. Newbee pick up the Baron.
Should be noted that Newbee actually have the longest average game time in the LPL when they win. It's about 41 minutes. And we are looking at a pretty decent comeback. Still down in gold, would still need to win a couple more 5v5s back-to-back, but this Baron is definitely going to give them a lot of breathing room and a respite from the onslaught of LGD.
Well, LGD turned a 2,000 gold lead into 7,000 off the back of one Baron. Newbee could potentially try and close the gap between themselves and LGD now.
Newbee are not necessarily in the same scenario unless they can get like a really big surprise team fight, which they have the potential and the tools to do.
Yep.
The cool thing about Happy on Sivir is that he's pretty much just... how does Spawn explain it? It's this factor of you run into the back of a lane through a gank, Sivir presses ultimate, and she lowers the response time. Normally you would get like 6 seconds to respond to something, whereas when Sivir runs in with your ultimate, you get like 2 seconds to respond to it. Okay. It's that surprise, everyone's here factor.
Well, let's see if we can utilize that. As the turret down at the bottom lane falls for Newbee. They're now only 2,000 gold away from catching up with LGD. And still lots of Baron buff to go around. V is still pushing.
Did create a wave up into the top lane, so it's really just this bottom and this mid that they need to respond to.
And that turret's going to take a lot of damage. Swift going to be able to come down here. Amy's looking to try and start something up. PYL gets a good hook on towards the Gragas. V gets sent flying back in towards the team. Swift separates the team. Marin going to get locked down. He's going to take a lot of damage. He gets a good Gnar ultimate. Amy's going to be the first one to fall. A good hook onto PYL. Comes out from more. Happy finds another kill. Here comes Dade looking for Marin. We'll get the slow down on towards him. V flashes forward. They're all going ham on top of them as a double kill will come out for Happy. LGD are just dropping like flies as Happy picks up the triple kill, and this should be game for Newbee.
Just lost the game. There is no reason to fight over that tower because if you die, you lose the game. Give it up and live to fight another day. They fought over an inner bot tower, not an inhib. That was absurd.
And just like that, Newbee, the comeback kings, do it again. 7,000 gold behind, and PYL just looks speechless at the moment.
I mean, it was just so greedy. Punish cleared a lot of the initial wave coming in, but I think that was 2 or 3 stacked waves that V had amassed onto that bottom side. Just let it go. LeBlanc had already done so much damage to the creep line and got away safety, but Amy just, this is fine, we can clear this out, comes forward, gets hooked up.
And you know, the start of this game looks really good for Newbee, then it looked really good for LGD. Newbee eventually win. What was going on, Frostkern?
Okay, so Newbee avoided LGD's strong lanes by initiating a lane swap.
Yep.
And they did a little bit more. Yes, we were set up into standard lanes, but the fact of the matter is in the 1v1 top side, Marn was 1v3 pretty much the entire time. He was ganked 3 different separate occasions, only managed to survive once, but LGD, they should expect this. Unfortunately, the only response from LGD were to play around the dragons, but they didn't get the 2 key dragons that they wanted, the Infernals. Newbee using superior control and pick to make sure that they got the superior dragons.
And this is where LGD starts to look strong. Punish lands down one of the best LeBlanc combos I've ever seen.
But it's also in tandem with the cast. So that wasn't all LeBlanc's damage. It was the distortion coming down and then immediately the Gragas cast as well, making that sick burst damage. But this is the thing. all of LGD's big high moments were made off of the back of Amy and Punished showing up and playing well. And they swung pretty hard, especially with the pickup of the Baron. Again, Moore getting caught out and Swift getting caught out for pretty much no reason. But everything else, Newbee were actually outplaying LGD across the map.
Teamfights, Newbee still look very strong. Hopefully we get the highlight of the fight over towards the end here, but if that's where things turn around, that's just it. Swift moving in, and this was the fight that started to turn things around for Newbee.
And yeah, just the damage that Happy and Dade are able to output. I'm going to say control from Dade. He had really nice gold cards, is to be expected, you know, big legacy Twisted Fate player, but Happy just having so much space and control in front of him to continue to output late game Sivir damage. And we talked about this, you know, Newbee, they average the longest game time in the LPL right now. They don't lane particularly well. They actually made steps to avoid that, but you get them to that late game spot and they're still, you know, at their core, the Chaogu Reapers.
And that was game number 1 going over to Newbee. So we still have a series on our hand. Though, is LG going to try and take in number 2? We're going to go a very quick break, but we'll be back with game 2 in just a bit.